Hey, hello, hi, what's up? I hope all is well with you. Today I'm here with a new lesson of psychology, and as you know that we are still on the topic of the brain functions. So as usual, today is a different topic, but the same lesson is continuing. In brain functions, today's title is Putting It All Together, the nervous system and the endocrine system. So let's start. Now that we have considered how individual neurons operate and the rules of the different brain areas, it's time to ask how the body manages to put it all together. And how do the complex activities in the various parts of the brain, the simple all or nothing firing of billions of interconnected neurons, and the various chemical systems within the body work together to allow the body to respond to the social environment and engage in everyday behaviors. Now let's get further to the answer, and I'm sure that with this answer it will be pretty easy for us to understand with more details the functions of brain. So let's continue with the answer. And in this answer, we'll be able to see that the complexities of human behavior are accomplished through the joint actions of electrical and chemical processes in the nervous system and the endocrine system. And as the electrical control of behavior is called the nervous system, so let's talk about nervous system first. The nervous system, the electrical information highway of the body, is made up of nerves, bundles of interconnected neurons that fire in synchrony to carry messages. The central nervous system, that is called or abbreviated as CNS, made up of the brain and spinal cord, and it's a major controller of the body's functions, charged with the interpreting sensory informations and responding to it with its own directives. The CNS interprets informations coming in from the senses, formulates an appropriate reaction, and sends responses to the appropriate system to respond accordingly. Everything that we see, hear, smell, touch, or taste is conveyed to us from our sensory organs as neural impulses, and each of the commands that the brain sends to the body, both consciously and unconsciously, travels through this system as well. Nerves are differentiated according to their functions. A sensory neuron carries information from the sensory receptors, whereas a motor neuron transmits information to the muscles and glands. An interneuron, which is by far the most common type of the neuron, is located primarily within the CNS and is responsible for communicating among the neurons. Interneurons allow the brain to combine the multiple sources of available information to create a coherent picture of the sensory information being conveyed. The spinal cord is the long, thin, tubular bundle of nerves and supporting cells that extends down from the brain. It's the central throughway of information for the body. Within the spinal cord, ascending tracts of sensory neurons relay sensory information from the sense organs to the brain, while descending tracts of motor neurons relay motor commands back to the body. When a quicker than usual response is required, the spinal cord can do its own processing bypassing the brain altogether. A reflex is an involuntary and nearly instantaneous movement in response to a stimulus. Reflexes are triggered when sensory information is powerful enough to reach a given threshold, and the interneurons in the spinal cord act to send a message back through the motor neurons without relaying the information to the brain. When you touch a hot stove and immediately put your hand back, or when you fumble your cell phone and instinctively reach to catch it before it falls, reflexes in your spinal cord order the appropriate responses before your brain even knows what's happening. The central nervous system can interpret signals from sensory neurons and respond to them extremely quickly through the motor neurons without any need for the brain to be involved. These quick responses, known as reflexes, can reduce the damage that we might experience as a result of, for example, touching a hot stove. If the central nervous system is the command center of the body, the peripheral nervous system presents the front line. The PNS, or peripheral nervous system, links the CNS, or central nervous system, to the body's sense receptors, muscles, and glands. The peripheral nervous system is also divided into two subsystems. One is to control internal responses, and the other is to control external responses. In our future lessons, we'll be able to talk about these two subsystems, and I hope this lesson is also useful for you, and I'll be really grateful if these lessons are easy for you to understand. So if you have something to say, you can comment me whenever you want and whatever you want. Thank you for listening to me. See you again. Bye bye.